Hi, everybody. I want to go over in this video the second graded speech. It's a 5-minute informative video on, and we're going to deliver it on Zoom. Okay, so let's just go back and remind ourselves a little bit of the first graded speech. That was, you just recorded that and put it on Google Drive, but it was really in sort of a YouTube style type of performance where you can record it over and over. It's asynchronous. The only difference between the YouTube and version and the way we did it on Google Drive is it's private, and it purposely took away that audience engagement that first time. So that's what we did last time. This one is going to be on Zoom. And just thinking back on that first speech, I want you, as you prepare for this one, to remember the couple of things that we discussed that you didn't want to forget. In other words, things that you did well last time that you want to do this time. And then that one thing that we identified that you were going to improve or work on improving this time around. So that brings up the question of, if you never did schedule a review with me for your last speech, you really should have. It was worth a whole grade really for the speech. So please email me today and let's talk about that. Okay. So this time around, the second graded speech, like I said, it's going to be Zoom. So we just did a unit or a week of activities on Zoom and the different features of Zoom and thinking about Zoom. So it should be fresh for us. The key things about Zoom is that there's an audience this time. And that audience has has a mute button. They should use it. As the presenter, you'll need to learn how to use mute your audience as well. They get video, right? That means you can, as the speaker, you can see your audience, and they have chat, right? So there's a number of ways that the audience can engage with the speaker in Zoom that didn't exist in the way we just did it with the Google Drive. So as a speaker, you also have the chat screen that you can use to help get your audience engaged. And then you can share your screen like I am right now. Another thing with Zoom that we have to remember is that there's always going to be technical issues. So I'll talk about that here in a minute. And then the last thing I'll talk about on this little presentation is the topic. Okay. So audience, this slide is about what to do when you're an audience member. Okay. Let me just back up here. Logistically, in the activities this week that are posted on Google Classroom, there'll be you'll be asked to sign up for a time on my calendar for a Zoom meeting where you'll both present and be an audience member for your fellow classmates. Okay, there'll be more on that in the activity guide, so don't worry about that with this video. So when you're an audience member, it is all about the mute. Keep your mute button on, okay? Because it's distracting, right? And then the other thing is be present as an audience member. So that means have your video on so that the speaker can see, even through Zoom, all the little videos. And then the chat, know where the chat is and know how to use it. And specifically for the chat, use it to identify things that really resonate or stand out with you for things that the speaker has said. So highlighting things that the speaker has said that you find valuable and important. And then the speaker may do call outs like, hey, please write in the chat a personal story that is similar to the one I just shared, or something like that, right? Or, hey, if you've ever had this happen to you, put in the chat yes. If you haven't, put in the chat no. Things like that. So as an audience member, be prepared and be willing to engage with the speaker if they ask you to do things like that. See, so as a speaker, you can do things like call outs. like I just explained, ask your audience to engage with you in the chat window. It's a very difficult thing, however, to multitask as the speaker and reading the chat. So when you're structuring that as the speaker, you might think about doing that in a way that doesn't require a lot of your attention while you're actually speaking. Think about it as a way that keeps the audience engaged with itself while you're presenting, kind of a mixed sort of you broadcasting information and the audience interpersonally engaging in it in the chat box. Yeah. Okay, and so you can share your screen as the presenter, like I'm doing here. The question you want to ask for yourself when you're doing anything like asking audience members to audience members, or sometimes nowadays we might call them participants because they're participating in the Zoom meeting, call outs, or whether you're sharing your screen, what you want to ask yourself is, what is the audience member thinking or feeling as they're doing that? Okay, you have to put yourself in the place of the audience member and try to imagine if you were there and you were asked to do that, what would you be thinking about or feeling? And then go back as the speaker and say, all right, is that what I want my audience thinking at that moment? And if it is, perfect. If it isn't, get rid of that call out or that extra slide. Just stay attuned as the speaker to what it would be like if you're an audience member listening to that or participating in that. Okay. Lastly, it's Zoom, so we know there's going to be technical issues. So a couple things that we'll do to manage that is, if we all try to log in a few minutes early, that gives us each individually time to deal with it if we have trouble on our devices or our Wi-Fi. And then the other thing is before we start presenting, I'll do a test ahead of time where we check everybody's video and audio. And there will be technical issues. We'll just work through them. They're not going to impact your grade or your assessment in any way. It's just part of doing Zoom. So if they happen, we'll use them as an opportunity to just learn. Okay, finally, the topic for this speech, it's your choice. As long as it is relevant to a communication issue in your community. Okay, so just about everything is a communication issue. So this really is your choice. It's very broad. I just want whatever topic you do choose for you to focus on the communication aspects around that topic. That's the only real guideline. I mean, other than it needs to be like, keep your audience and the context, the classroom setting in mind in your topic and how you approach it. And that's it. I will have some more explanations in the activity guide, and then a couple probably follow-up videos between now and then, and also office hours to meet for any questions.